know me, and I
is being recorded.
I play with Peel Regional Police Pipe Band as the bass drummer. So I'm just here to walk you through the bass mass band scores and just kind of walk you through how they're played and you know, anything with regards to what's on the music. If you have any questions, you can definitely leave questions in the chat, and we can maybe try to get to some of those. Graham can hopefully help us out with that. And you know, hopefully get through all 4 tunes within the hour. It shouldn't take us that long to just walk you through the scores. Okay, so my hope is that everybody has them in front of them, and if you have a drum, you can definitely play along, or a practice pad if you'd like, with a pair of sticks, whatever works for you, whatever you have. I'm going to try to play it on the drum, just so that you can see kind of the motions that I'm using, and that most of the bass drummers probably will be using when we play these mass bands. And you can kind of see my sticking as well. It's a little bit harder on a practice pad. So fortunately, I do have my my drum here. And then we're just going to play to the PPBSO mass band scores, like tunes, pipe tunes, just so you get the idea of how they sound within the pipe tune as well. Okay, so the four cadences here, again, the great thing about them is that they do repeat quite a bit. So I mean, really, there's not a lot of new things in them. So you know, kind of once you learn the first 2 lines, especially of the 4/4, it basically repeats throughout the entire page. And it's only 2 parts written. But again, if it's a 4-part, you would just go back up to the top and go back up to the original first part. Okay. So the only thing that I would just want to point out is the accents. So where the accents are placed. So we'll talk a little bit about the 4/4. So in a 4/4, the accents, the heavy accents are on beats 1 and 3, and then the lighter accents are on 2 and 4. Okay, so that's the sideways accent and then the top hat accent. So then we just want to watch that we're pulsing our motion when we do play. We're not playing every single note the same weight. Okay, and you'll hear that when I play it on the drum. Okay. Hi, Lou. You have a question?
Not being a drummer, I'm trying to follow you on the PDF file, right? Which sheet are you looking at? Are you looking at 4 mass band cadence?
4/4. Yeah.
4.
The 4/4.
Yeah, 4/4. It says
Yeah.
It says 4/4 mass band cadence. Is that your bass? I guess not, right?
Yes, it's this one.
Okay. 4/4 mass band cadence. Yeah. Okay. That one.
That's the one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I maybe I didn't mention and we were looking at the 4. I apologize. So we are looking at the 4/4 to start. Okay. So again, just watching those pulsings when you play, and then you can see in the second bar where the quarter notes are. Those quarter notes are going to be evenly accented throughout the right and the left hand. Okay. So I'll just play that first 2-bar line. This one here. Whoops. There I am. This one and this one, just so you can kind of, I'll play it without the music, so you can kind of hear where the accents might be placed, and then watching my hands for the right and left sticking. Okay. And hopefully, I know the drum is probably not going to be terrific sounding, but hopefully it'll do the trick. And I lost my stand. Okay, bass drum 6. Okay. I'm going to move up a bit just so you can see. All right, there we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. Okay, so here's just the first 2 bars. I'm just going to count in. I'll count in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll play those first 2 bars so you can kind of see the motion. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm back here making that vibrate.
I'll just say stops vibrating.
Okay. Does that
Maybe
sound
something
okay?
under-
Does that, can you hear that drum? Just give me a thumbs up if that's okay. Yeah, I know I don't have a professional system here, so I'm doing the best I can. Okay, but you can kind of see where my hand was going down, and then usually on motion, your left hand is the one that's going to be the upbeat. So you've got that 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and if you're playing the eighth notes. Okay, and so then that 1 and 3 is the kind of downbeat. That's the heavier accent. And then you've got the 1, 2, 3, which is that second bar is going to be the downbeats. Okay, so I'll do it one more time and then we'll try it with the music, because again, really, that's the 4/4. It repeats. That's the 2-bar phrase that you're repeating until you get to the very end where the mace goes up and you do your double tap. Then you would end on the 1, 2, 3, and then you would end, right? So here it is again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then obviously you got that rest in the 4th beat of the 2nd bar, the 4th bar, and so on. Okay, everybody good? Just give me a thumbs up if you're on camera, just so that we're good, just so I can move on. Okay, so let's just try it with one of the 4/4. So I'm just going to pick one of the 4/4s. And again, feel free, if you have a drum or if you have a practice pad, just feel free to, play along if you'd like. It's going to be a little bit different on a practice pad because, again, you're playing on a table, so your motion is going to be more of a downward movement rather than a side movement. Okay? All right, so we'll try it to Scotland the Brave. There's no roll-offs. It just goes right into the tune, okay? Just to let you know, because it's just a pipe tune. Let's try that again. I wasn't ready. Here we go again. Second part. Okay, that was better. Sorry, I apologize for the first part. I didn't get in on time. But really the beauty of this cadence is it's very, very repetitive, right? So as long as you know that the first bar is time or motion, if you want to call it, and then the second bar is quarter notes, that's basically it, right? Our job is to just make sure that we're keeping that time so that they can march and they can counter march, and we keep the snares in time. Okay, so that's really the 4/4 in a nutshell. Does anybody want to go over it again, or can we move on to another one?
Not being a drummer, but a piper, but I'm trying to set rhythms and write the stuff out so I can put it into my drum machine. Will that work for any 4/4 or just some mass band tunes? So
No, I mean,
4/4, right?
that's a good question. I mean, it will work because of the structure of it. It's eighth notes and quarter notes. It should fit with any
let's say,
with any 4/4.
That's what she just played.
Yeah.
Oh, she played Scotland the Brave?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. But it should work with any 4/4 tune. I mean, like any tune, there's going to be slight differences between endings and things, but you know, that should follow any of the 4/4 tunes, and that's why it's structured that way. So if they call something else, then if it's a 4/4, that's going to fit with the score.
Okay, thank
or
you.
pardon me, the pipe tune or the drum tune. Yeah. Okay. Good question. Okay. So that one's fairly, you know, I'm not going to say simple, because I mean, I know we've got maybe some beginners on here, but really, again, the simplicity of it is it's very repetitive, and it's eighth notes first bar, quarter notes second bar, back to eighth notes, back to quarter notes. So there's not a lot of things to kind of remember other than just where the accents are placed. So making sure that we're accenting 1 and 3 in bar 1, and then we're evenly accenting those 3 quarter notes in bars 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on, right? Okay. Okay.
Can I ask
So
a
let's
quick question,
move on.
Regan?
Sure.
Sorry. So if this was like a monotone exercise, it would just be a straight 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 rest.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So that would be the correct way to count it. Yeah. 1 and
Okay.
2 and 3 and 4 and yeah.
Okay.
The first part of the eighth note is the downbeat, and then the second part of the eighth note is the upbeat, which is the and. So great question. Great question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Okay. So let's look at the 2/4. I figured, because it's again very similar. It's not the same as the 4/4, but it's similar. Okay. So again, what a 2/4, we're cutting in half the measure. So now we've got 2 beats in the bar. Okay. Now the only difference with this one is you're not playing 2 quarter notes at the end, and then there is that little bit of an 8th note rhythm at the end of the parts. Okay. So I think what we'll do with this one is I'm going to just take you through this on a pad, just because it's there's a little bit more to it than just 8th notes and quarter notes. And then I'll show it to you on the drum. Okay. So again, if we were to count this, the first 2 bars of the 2/4, again, you're looking at 8th notes. Look at where the accents are placed again. So you've got your heavy accent on beat 1, and then you've got your upbeat accent or lighter accent on beat 2. Okay, so that's where that pulsing comes in, the 1 and 2. The 2 is a little bit lighter than the 1. Okay, and then you've got your right hand 2 beats at the end of the phrase as the same kind of accent. So they want those equal. Okay, so again, how you would count this, if you were counting 8th notes, would be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then you've got your quarter notes, 1 rest, 2, or pardon me, 1 rest. Or if you want to count the rest as beat 2, some people like to hear the numbers when they're resting. Some people like to say rest, whichever one works for you. Okay. So if I were to put this to a metronome, because again, it's always important to practice with a metronome. It does keep us in time, even though it can annoy us at times, because usually the metronome's always right and the player's always wrong, unless it's running out of batteries. So I'll just take you through the first 4 bars with the metronome on. Okay, so I have it at 70 beats per minute. And I'm just going to take off the 8th note. So there's my metronome. So I'll just take you through the first 4 bars. Okay, here it is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, rest, 1, rest. Okay, so you can hear the 8th note pulsing, and then you can hear the quarter note and the rest, the quarter note and the rest. Okay, so then if we look at the second line, it's slightly different. Okay, so again, it goes back to our 8th note pattern, but then we have 2 quarter notes, and then we have that ending where we're actually not playing on the downbeat and we're playing and two. So you'll notice the sticking as well in that last bar of the second line. They've got it as a left, right, and there's a reason for that, right? Because again, that's the second part of the eighth note. So usually, not all the time, but usually when you play the upbeat of an eighth note, you're usually playing it on your left hand. So we're just not going to play that downbeat. Okay, so that line, and you'll also notice that the quarter notes, you'll also notice that they don't want them, it seems like, to have the same accent. They want the first one to be accented a little bit more than that second one, since the accent is a side accent and then it's a top hat accent. So that's telling me that they want the first one accented a little bit more to emphasize that downbeat. Okay, so here's the second line. Okay, ready? After I'll give you 2 bars in. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2. So there's where that and 2, right? That and 2. I did left, right there. Okay. So let's just try. If you want to play along with me, you're more than welcome on the pad. So let's just try that 8-bar phrase, or that 8-bar part. So I guess that's the first part, right? Okay. And I believe that is it repeated. Yeah. So as long as you know those eight bars, then you just repeat those over and over again. Okay, so we'll try those 8 bars. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2. Okay, so again, it's a little bit different than the 4/4. It's got a little bit more to it, which is nice. It's got that offbeat rhythm, which I like, and you know, because it's nice as a bass drummer not to always have to hit the downbeat. But again, it's got some similarities to that 4/4. Okay, so let's just, with the metronome, play that whole page. All right, so we'll just go through the first, the second, the third, and the fourth part. I believe there's 4 parts there. It looks like maybe there's only 2. I'm just looking. I think it's 2 parts. Okay, we'll just do that whole page. Okay, ready? After I'm going to give you 2 bars in. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, rest and 2. 1 up. So it does change. I'm wrong. So the second part is a little bit different. So now we switch from 8th notes, and now we play a quarter note to an 8th note rhythm. So I was totally wrong. The light is shining on my page and I can't see it very well. So blame it on that. So now we're looking at 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, rest, 1, rest. So that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down. Okay. And then that repeats 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, rest, and 2. Okay, so that's the second part. So with the metronome, here's the second part. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, rest, and 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, rest, 1, rest, 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, rest, and 2. Okay? And for those ones, just thinking about the upbeat and downbeat that we kind of talked about, those ones me personally, I would play all of those as downbeats, right? So I'll play it on the drum for you, but the way that I'm playing it on the pad right now, 1, 2, and 1, I'm kind of hitting those downbeats. I think that part needs that, definitely. Okay. So let's try the whole page now that we've done both parts. And I realize that there's 2 parts. And we'll just try the whole thing. And then I'll try it on the drum and you can hear what it sounds like on the drum. Okay. All right, here we go. Whole page now. Ready. I'll give you 2 bars in. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, rest and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, rest and 2. Second part. 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Rest, 1, rest. 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2, rest and 2. 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, rest, 1, rest, 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2, rest and 2. Okay. And then again, if they decided, like, again, this is only 2 parts. So then if part 3 were to happen, you would go back up to the top and play part 1. And then if they played part 4, you would go and you would play part 2. Okay. So you just repeat those 2 parts over and over and over until that mace came and you hit your double beat. Okay. Okay. So let's try it on the drum, just so you can see kind of where my downbeats and upbeats are. The only other spot I would put an upbeat again is in that, in the last bar of each part where you've got that 8th note to quarter note and 2, I would do a and 2 and 2. So I guess it is a downbeat, down, down, but it's a light, this left hand would be a little bit lighter than the right hand, and down. You want to hit that downbeat on the accent. Okay. All right. So let's.
Regan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Same question as before. Like if we had a 4-part 2/4 march, doesn't matter what the piper's playing, this will work.
Yeah, because that's the whole purpose of these cadences, right? So that if you were to play Mary's Wedding, I think that's a 2/4. Yeah, it is. So if you were to play that and then you were to play another 2/4, the whole point of these cadences are that it should work with any 2/4 any 2/4 score that you play.
Okay, let's say John McCall's to Kilbowie Cottage, you know, where definite 4 parts tune, right? Like competition. So just, you know, to hear the beat, you know, while I'm trying to get to the point where I'm going to get this to practice with.
Mm-hmm.
So that would work, that, you know, those 2.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, right? I mean, again, some tunes lend themselves to, you know, adjusting them slightly, but I mean, this is a good basis to go off of, right? This will give your pipers and your drummers that solid pulse that they need to kind of get ensemble together, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's try this on the drum, just so you can see how it works. So again, I'll just play it to the metronome first time through, just so you can kind of hear it again, and then I'll pull up a 2/4 so you can kind of get it in your head to how it works with the tune as well. Okay. All right, here we go. I'll give you again 1, 2, 1, 2, right? 2 bars in, just to give you time to get in. Okay. Okay, here we go. I need to read it. Okay. Ready. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rest, rest. 1. 1, rest, rest. 1. Rest, rest. 1. 1, rest, 1, rest. 1. Okay, so that's kind of how, excuse me, that's how the 2/4 kind of works. And hopefully you saw kind of my hands working a little bit, where the accents are placed, and again those pulsings. Okay, so I'll play it to a pipe tune. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do. I guess let's do Mary's Wedding. That seems to be a popular one. Okay. Okay, so again, a little bit quick, but again, we have to expect that they are going to be quick. So we kind of have to be, and again, I apologize that there's no intro rolls to kind of get us into it. It kind of just starts, right? So my intros are a little sloppy, but when there's intro rolls, I promise it'll be better when we're all together and we play it. Okay. So any questions about the 2/4, other than just running through it, making sure that you know what, counting, everybody's okay with the counting and everything like that? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. All right, so that's the 2/4, the 4/4. So let's go into the 6/8. I'm going to save the best for last, which is the 3/4. We all love 3/4s, don't we? Okay, so 6/8. So when you look at it, it looks a little bit complex with the quarter note to eighth note rhythm, but really all it is the same motion as what you were just playing, but you're just now in what we call compound time, which is swing time. Okay, so you could also dot that quarter note as well if you wanted to. So you'll see that the dotted quarter notes in the second part there. Okay, so the one thing that 6/8s really need is that kind of cross between being in time but also having a little bit of swing to it. We don't want to go over too much, because then it gets to be what we call round, and then it becomes more like a jig, which is not what we want. So 6/8 sometimes can be a little bit tricky to play, especially if they're played fast, because it's very hard to play dot and cut notes quickly. So again, just watching where the accents are. So again, the downbeat is the essential part, and really in 6/8s, most people don't count them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They count them off 1, 2, 1, 2, even though they're in compound time. So we really want to just kind of put a pause on that first and second beat, I guess, if you want to call it, in those bars where there's time. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So I always tell my students, just pretend that there's a little bit of a dot after that quarter note. Even though it's not written there, just pretend that it's there to kind of give that emphasis of a little bit of a longer pause. Not too much, just that little bit. So it's kind of like a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, right? So you're not walking like a true 2-4-4-4 march. Okay. Other than that, again, it's written in 2 parts, which is nice. So we've got the first part is a lot of time, with exception to that 7th bar where there's quarter notes. And then again, in the second part, we go back to quarter notes. And really, again, the emphasis on a 6/8 is really trying to get that 1, 2, 1, 2 to keep it going. Because if you lose that, what tends to happen is the tempo starts to drop a little bit, right? And we want to make sure that we keep those tempos, up. I just saw a question, so I'm just going to. The mass band cadence is different than Atlantic Canada. I not actually sure. My understanding is that these are supposed to be adopted across the board. Not that they are yet.
They have been. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. So I'm like, again, this is all, a new kind of concept that's kind of starting to unfold. So you might not have been exposed to them yet, Pete. I don't know. That's a good question. But I know that, Ontario definitely is really starting to try to adopt them. And then we're trying to branch out into other areas and other provinces and other places. So, hopefully if you haven't seen them yet, you can, and you'll get them. So
November 23rd or last year, that's when they came out with the new scores, but they're written differently than what you guys have here.
Okay, yeah. So again, so that's where the confusion kind of comes in, because there were scores written last year and then they tweaked them again. And these are the updated ones. These are the brand new updated ones that everybody's going to use. So I understand where you're coming from, because I think there's about 3 or 4 different versions of kind of general scores. So yeah. Okay. Good question. Okay. So, let's just go through the 6/8 then. So again, I'm just going to stay in 2, because like I said, most people who play 6/8 play in 2, not 6. And you'll kind of hear when I play the time for the 6/8, you'll hear me kind of pause on that first note just a little bit to get that swing, try to get that swing. Okay. And again, watch where the accents, I think I mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. Just the first beat is the heavier beat. And then you've got your second beat as kind of that medium beat. And then you've got your left hand as your upbeats. Okay. And then at the end, it's just a 1 and 2. All right. So I'll just play the first 4 bars. Okay. Just the first line. And I'm just going to slow it down just a bit. There we go. So just the first 4 bars. Ready? I'll give you 2 bars in. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So you can really hear how it's kind of swinging, right? It's got that kind of really swing feel, and you can hear the emphasis that I'm putting on those downbeats. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Really emphasizing that beat 1. Okay. So then here's the second line. So it's slightly different. We've got 2 dotted quarter notes in the 7th bar. So it changes just a little bit. So here's the second line. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2. So then again, those two quarter notes I would play as downbeats. 1, 2, 1 and 2. And then the left would be my kind of up, down, down, right? Up, down, down. Okay. So I'll play that whole first part or first 2 bars. Oh, it's been a long day. First 2 lines. There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2. Okay, so that's the first 8 bars. So then again, that would repeat. That's the next 2 lines are the repeat of the first part. Okay, and then we get into the second part. So I'm going to play the first 4 lines. First 4 lines. Okay, I'm going to turn it up just a bit. There's 70 beats per minute. Here we go. First 4 lines. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 1 and 2. Okay, so again, you can really hear, I can hear it in myself too, right? Really emphasizing that downbeat and just giving that little bit of extra time on that downbeat and then picking it up on that upbeat. Then that's what'll give it that nice, real kind of swing. And that's what we want, right? We want that little bit of hum ba da da ba da dee da. You want that little bit of swing. Okay, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing, right? Okay. Second part. So then the second part, just like the 2/4, it goes into quarter notes, or well, sort of, not kind of like the 2/4, sort of, but not really. So we're going into quarter notes now. So again, 1, 2, 1, 2, playing on both hands, all downbeats, I would say, right? Because again, we want to emphasize those quarter notes. And then we go back into the time in the third bar, and then we play the ending. All right. So it's I like how this was written because it gives that little bit of a break of the monotony of playing motion all the time. It can get very monotonous playing 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. So it's a nice little breather between the 2 parts. Okay. So I will play the first 4 bars of the 5th line. So this is the first 4 bars of the second part. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay. So fairly simple. And then we go back, we play quarter notes all the way through, and then we play that ending. So here's the 6th line. So the second part to the second part to the second part, if that makes sense. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. Okay, so that's just quarter notes through the whole thing. So let's play the whole second part. So then that's the last 4 lines of the sheet. Okay. Ready? After 2, 1, or after 4, I guess. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. And I tend to do, you'll notice when I play this on the drum, those very last lines where it's the quarter to the eighth to the quarter, I'll tend to do a little bit of I call it an around and down, around. So I'll go around and down. And that's just a stylistic thing. So that's not at all written in the music, but that's just me. I've done it for years. So you'll see my right hand just do a little bit of an around and down. Okay. But again, that's not required. It's just something that's embedded in me that I tend to do a lot. Okay. Okay. So let's try the whole 6/8. So again, we'll do it on the pad. Okay. We'll play it on the pad, and then I'll go to the drum, play it on the metronome so you can see my hands, and then we'll try it with the music. The music might be a little bit quick for some people, but at least you'll be able to kind of hear what it sounds like. Okay. All right, here we go. Good. Looking at the time, we're good. We got lots of time for a 3/4. Perfect. Okay, so the whole thing now. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Second part. And that's our 6/8. A little bit of swing. Yeah. Okay. So any questions before I play it on the drum?
No.
Okay. All right. Whoops. Okay. Having a malfunction here. There we go. Okay, so same thing again. Now you're going to see my hands. You can see here, hopefully maybe try to hear some of the accents. All right, so again, 2 bars of 2. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Second part. Okay, so you can kind of, again, you can kind of hear where those nice downbeats are lying. You can hear where the swing is kind of happening, me waiting just that little bit on those first beats and picking up on those left hands. Okay, and that's what'll really give it that nice swing to it. Okay, all right, so here it is with one of the tunes. So we'll do Bonnie Dundee. So, and again, I apologize if my beginning is a little sloppy. Okay. So quite a bit quicker than what we practiced on the practice pad. But again, 6/8s usually tend to be a little bit upbeat. Okay. But that's the 6/8 in a nutshell. Okay. Any questions about that one? No? Okay. Okay. You guys are making it easy on me. No questions other than little ones. Okay. All right. So everybody's favorite. Here we go. 3/4s, right? Everybody loves a good 3/4. Okay. So again, similarities. You're going to see again, 8th note pattern. So that's your motion. The most difficult thing about a 3/4 is the fact that there's one beat missing. So it's not an even number. Definitely when you march, it makes a big difference because you're alternating feet on the downbeat, which actually rhymed. So that's, I remember that is what really, I had a lot of trouble with that when I was learning to march 3/4, just getting my feet, thinking that it was always on the left, but it's not, right? You 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right? So it switches, which is sometimes a little bit challenging for people. So I think that that's kind of why they drafted it this way. So again, this one models more of the 4/4 mass band cadence where it's very repetitive. There's nothing different. There's not really a first or a second part. It's just kind of all the same thing, which for a 3/4, I think was kind of a smart thing to do for beginners, just to kind of make it all the same. Okay. So again, emphasis on the downbeat, and then you'll see that the top hat accents are the 2 and 3. So that's a little bit different than what we're used to playing with a 4/4 or a 2/4 because, well, I guess a 4/4 because you're strong, weak, medium, weak, strong, weak, medium, weak, where this one is strong, weak, medium, weak. So there's 2 mediums instead of a strong, weak, medium, weak, strong, right? So that's where it's a little bit different. And then again, at the end, those 3 quarter notes are not equal, right? So you've got the emphasis on the downbeat, which is the, or not the downbeat, but the first beat. So the right, and then 2, 3. And I guess the way it's written is they want it all on the same hand. So we'll make sure that we play it on the right hand. Okay. So I'll put this on 3. And so when I count you in, I'm not going to count you in 2. I'm going to count you in 3, which is what we should be doing. 1, 2, 3. But again, when usually there's a march off, it's not. It's by the right quick march. So that's going to be a little bit different with the roll-offs. So I'll just play the first 4 bars because really that's it through the whole thing. So as long as we learn the first 4 bars, that's it for that. Okay. 3, 1. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to give you 3, and then we're in. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's essentially it. But again, it's a little bit awkward just because you're not in even time. So you just really have to watch that you're counting. I always tend to count that the 1 and 2 and 3 and when I'm playing the motion, just so that I get it in my head, so that I don't get turned around into 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's, I know from experience, that's what some tends to happen sometimes. People get turned around out of the 3 and into kind of a 2, and we want to make sure that we don't do that. So really that the biggest thing is watching that rest in bar 2, making sure that rest lands on beat 3, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's just go through, we'll just go through it. Again, it's repetitive. It's the same thing, but I just want you to kind of get that idea of that 3 in your head when you're playing the 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. So 1 is the heavier beat. Okay. So we'll just go through the whole thing because it's the same all the way through, whole sheet. Ready? After 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and rest, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and rest, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and rest, 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, fifth line down, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and rest, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and rest, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2 and rest. Last line. Rest. And that's essentially the 3/4. Okay, so again, it's very repetitive, which in one sense it's a very good thing. In another sense, when you tend to repeat a lot of things, people tend to kind of their mind kind of wanders, and then that's where we get turned around. So again, the biggest thing with a 3/4, I would say personally, is just counting those subdivisions, those eighth notes, and just making sure that you're 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then again, we didn't really talk about it tonight because that wasn't really a topic on the agenda, but again, where the double beats do lie. So in a 3/4, the double beats actually lie in a different spot, right? So you don't hit a double beat in a 3/4 in the same spot. You would hit it in a 4/4, 6/8, or a 2/4, right? And in my experience, and I'm sure there's people out here as well that can attest to that sometimes the drum major or the pipe major is too late in turning around, and then the double beats are already gone. So then you end up having to hit them in the last bar, which isn't really where they're supposed to be hit. But that could be definitely another topic for another workshop if that happens. Okay, so I'll just go play this quickly. We're about 6 minutes. What time is it? Yeah, we're about 4 or 5 minutes out from the end. So I just want to make sure that I get this played on the drum to the metronome, and then I'll play it again to a 3/4 so you can kind of get it in your head. Okay, all right. And again, feel free to play along. Okay. Well, I'll get my chair out of the way. There we go. Okay, here we go. After 3. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Rest. 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 Okay. And again, you can just kind of hear that downbeat in those 8th notes, and then I really kind of flatten out the 2 and the 3 even strokes, but really focusing on that downbeat in 1 on each of the bars to really give it that 3/4 feel. Okay. All right. So let's try, what do they got here for choices? Green Hills. Okay. Again, I apologize for the shaky start. Rest. 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 That was a little bit shakier than the other ones. But we got back on track. You could hear that. You could hear where the 3/4 fit in, but it's always tricky to start with no rules. Okay. So in a nutshell, in an hour, we managed to take a crash course, I guess, in learning the mass band score. So my hope is that, you were able to take something from this workshop and be able to take these scores now and, memorize them and make sure that we know them. I know definitely I need to brush up on them. I've been looking at them, but there are parts that from the old mass band scores are still in my brain that I've got to kind of unlearn and learn these new ones. So, but hopefully, we'll, as time progresses and as the summer kind of, goes on and we all are in the games and the mass bands, we can all kind of start to adopt them and really start to play together with them, which is, the whole idea of doing these cadences and getting some of the younger kids to be able to play them as well, the beginners. So, or adults too, as well, not just children. So, what's that?
Older kids.
Older kids. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jim. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. And, if you guys have any questions, you can definitely, I don't mind spending a minute or two if you have any thoughts or questions. And if not, then have a good night and hope to see you if you're at the games this summer. I hope to see you guys out there playing these mass band cadences. So
Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah.